Y'all, I'm sure you probably all know me, Fred Longetti, and I'm just here to kind of kick us off to let you know that we're very excited about a new offering that we are including with our managed care services. This is from Cork. The and I'm really glad to have Nick on the call with us here, and glad that Nick has the hat on so that you know that it's Cork, because I've had people ask me, is that Qurk or Cork? So you have the visual now on that. And the reason that we're excited about it here at Carolinas Net Care is because what Cork is doing is making sure that all of the security that we're providing to all of our clients is actually up and working on all of the devices. That Cork has the ability to look into things and say, yes, in fact, VSA is on there, and so we're making sure things are updated, and Sophos is on the devices so that we're making sure that you have the antivirus, and Threat Locker is working. And so it's things like that, all these things that we are providing, but we want to make sure that in addition to providing these things, that they are actually in place 100% on all of the 100% of the devices. And there's the added benefit of that Nick is going to talk about the cyber warranty that's included with that. But that to Greg and I is just a bonus for you, our end users. The real thing for us is to actually have making sure that all that security is in place and working properly. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Nick, and then Greg's going to kind of follow up when Nick finishes up.
Fantastic. Again, thank you for having me on here and for being such a great partner of Cork. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into it. So at Cork, one of the things that we're offering in addition to our monitoring is our cyber warranty. And there's a good likelihood that if you're attending today's webinar, you probably never heard of the term a cyber warranty. So let's dive into what exactly is a cyber warranty. So when I talk about a cyber warranty, I really like to compare it to the auto industry. In the auto industry, you have car insurance, which is protection if you have an accident in your car or if your car is stolen. But car insurance is different than a car warranty. When I think of a car warranty, really what it's designed to do is prevent or remediate an accident before it ever happens. That way you don't even need to utilize your car insurance policy. In a lot of ways, when I think of a car warranty, I think of the check engine light on a car. It's the way that the vehicle tells you that, hey, pull over to the side of the road. Let's get this thing fixed, this individual part or component. Let's get it fixed. That way we reduce the likelihood of an accident happening or you ever needing to utilize cyber insurance. And this resonates very well into the cyber landscape. In the cyber landscape, you have cybersecurity insurance or cyber insurance, which is protection if you have an incident in your cyber landscape or if your data is stolen. But cyber insurance is different than a cyber warranty. A cyber warranty, what we really want to do is help you prevent or remediate an incident before it ever happens. Because with our cyber warranty, we're including a monitoring platform. In other words, it's kind of like a check engine light on your car, but it's for your cybersecurity posture. The monitoring platform is going to make sure that everything is installed where it needs to be installed, whether that's your Kaseya VSA for patch management, or your Sophos EDR, or your Threat Locker security, or your Veeam backups, whatever tools you end up utilizing, we're going to make sure that everything is running and turned on where it should be. If it turns out that something is not running where it should be, that's where our check engine light is going to come on, and we're going to notify the good people over at Carolina Net Care. That way they can get it fixed and addressed. Now, if our monitoring platform is not able to catch anything that's wrong in the environment and you still get hit by a cybersecurity breach, we are able to provide a financial payout with our cyber warranty. This cyber warranty could be supplemental gap coverage alongside cyber insurance. If you do not have a cyber insurance policy yet, it could act as standalone coverage, but we always recommend that you do pair our cyber warranty with an insurance policy, even though that's not a mandatory requirement. For those of you looking to get a cyber insurance policy that coverage can cover millions upon millions of dollars, Cork makes that process a heck of a lot easier. With Cork, we eliminate the need of filling out a lengthy security questionnaire that often needs to be filled out when you're getting a cyber insurance policy. Typically when you're getting cyber insurance, you're going to have to answer many questions. Is multi-factor authentication turned on? Are data backups running? Is endpoint security turned on? Sometimes that's work that your organization has to fill out, or maybe you ask the folks over at Carolinas Net Care for help. And long story short, there's just a lot of paperwork involved. So what Cork does, because we offer our monitoring platform with our solution, that check engine light feature, as it were, what we're doing is we already know the answers of what's going to be asked on the insurance application. We're going to know if patch management is running with Kaseya VSA. We're going to know if endpoint detection and response is turned on with ThreatLocker and Sophos. We're going to know if data backups are being performed with vendors like Veeam. We're going to know if multi-factor authentication is turned on with Duo or Microsoft. And because we already know the answers to all these questions with our monitoring platform, we're able to share them instantly with the cyber insurance carriers. So now you, as a small business, will get access to an instant cyber insurance policy at roughly a 30% discounted rate without having to go through the hassle of filling out an insurance questionnaire. And again, the reason why you don't have to fill out a lengthy security questionnaire anymore is because we already know the answers. We know MFA, EDR, backups. We know all those things are turned on and running because we're watching that information in real time. Additionally, if anything changes in the future, if MFA gets turned off, if EDR is running today but gets turned off tomorrow, we're proactively letting our friends over at Carolinas Net Care know, saying, hey, this user turned off MFA. This endpoint doesn't have backups running on it. All these are examples of things that would void out the insurance policy or the cyber warranty. So we kind of give the team a heads up saying, hey, we got to get this stuff turned back on. That way, if a cyber attack happens, the insurance policy pays out, the warranty pays out. That's one of the limitations with cyber insurance today. And one of the key reasons why about a third of cyber insurance policies claims get denied is because even if you fill out the security questionnaire correct today, there's no validation to ensure that all those answers are still accurate 3 months from now, 3 weeks from now, etc. So, we are giving you that 24/7 eyes and ears to make sure that everything is installed and running properly in the environment. That way, if a cyber attack does occur, the cyber warranty through Cork pays out, and the cyber insurance policy, if you have a cyber insurance policy, pays out as well. With Cork, there's a couple different payouts that we have with our cyber warranties, several different coverage amounts. All customers of Carolina Net Cares, they get the $50,000 cyber warranty as a default option. That's already included in your package. And if I am correct, if you're an existing customer today, it's already up and running as of earlier this month. So you already got it, nothing that you have to do, which is fantastic to hear. Additional coverage options are available if you wanted to upgrade from your $50,000 of protection to $100,000 worth of protection, or if you wanted to upgrade your $100,000 worth of protection to $500,000 worth of protection. So that would be an additional cost of around $5 to $10 an endpoint, but you could reach out to the account management team at Carolina Net Care to get an official quote. With our $50,000 cyber warranty, which all existing customers gain access to, we talked about the monitoring platform, which is that check engine light, and the fact that you get access to discounted cyber insurance, roughly a 30% savings on a cyber insurance policy. What you also get is a couple key things. You're going to be getting, number one, instant access to funds using a virtual debit card. So the same day you have a cyber incident, you're instantly getting access to $2,500 on a debit card that you could use to help recover and get back on your feet, which is really important because typically with cyber insurance, there's a lengthy forensic audit that has to take place. So it's typically several months before you see any money from cyber insurance, whereas our cyber warranty, we start paying out the same day. We also cover things like SMS gift card scam coverage. So if one of your employees ever gets scammed out of a gift card with someone pretending to be the CEO when they're not, we will cover a gift card up to $500. We'll also cover wire transfer fraud loss up to $10,000 on our entry-level warranty, which is really important because most cyber insurance policies do not cover wire transfer fraud. So that's something you're going to want to look into if you have a cyber insurance policy is, does it cover wire transfer fraud loss? Most of the times it does not. With our warranty, we will pay that out. We will also cover cyber insurance deductibles up to $25,000. So that's another thing to be aware of. If you have a cyber insurance policy, whether it's a $1 or $2 or $3 million policy, odds are there's going to be some sort of deductible or retention that you have to meet to utilize that cyber insurance policy. It could be $5, $10, $20,000. With Corks Warranty, we'll pay you out up to a $25,000 insurance deductible. That way there's no out-of-pocket expenses that your organization has to face if you're utilizing the cyber insurance policy. Last but not least, we will cover up to $10,000 on incident response. So the incident response could be with a third-party provider. It could be with Carolina Net Care. So if there's in the unlikely event that there's a cyber attack, there's a lot of cleanup that has to go on after the attack occurs. So you'll get $10,000 towards the cleanup, the incident response. So all customers of Carolina Net Cares, that's the coverage that you already have today. You don't have to sign anything, click anything, buy anything. It's already there. You're good to go, which is fantastic. If you did want to upgrade, we do have the $100,000 policy, which will just give you higher coverage amounts in some areas. And we also have the $500,000 cyber warranty, which will give you higher coverage amounts, as well as some new categories of protection. For example, we'll cover business interruption loss, data recovery, as well as ransomware payments as well. So you will get higher amounts of coverage there as well with the $500,000 cyber warranty. Cork has been in business for several years now. We haven't had to deny a single warranty claim that's come through, luckily. Whereas typically with cyber insurance, we do see around a third of cyber insurance claims get denied. Some of the payout stories that we went over and paid out on are really interesting types of attacks. One of the attacks that we paid out on was for a law firm client that suffered in a phishing email incident. Basically, it was a data exfiltration attack through SharePoint where they thought they were logging on through Microsoft when in reality it was a fake Microsoft. And that's how the bad guys were able to get the username, the password, the MFA token, and potentially do a lot of damage. Luckily, though, their MSP at the time was able to shut down the bad threat actor relatively fast. So the damage didn't really spread, but the MSP had to spend the entire weekend cleaning up the mess, resetting passwords, resetting MFA tokens, hardening security. It was around a $5,000 incident response bill, but luckily because this client had the cyber warranty, they didn't have to pay any incident response fees. Everything was covered under the warranty for the work that the MSP was doing to clean up the mess. One of the other payouts that we paid out recently was for a wire transfer fraud attack. And this was at a construction firm client that had over 100 employees, and they had a really robust cybersecurity practice. They were using Ninja for RMM and Sentinel-1 for EDR. They had Datto for backups and FEMA for security awareness training. They had pretty decent cybersecurity tools in place. Ultimately, what happened here was they got a spoofing attack from someone that they thought was one of their existing vendors saying, hey, can you send this month's bill to this new bank account instead of our old bank account? That's where we need you to pay the bill, to this new bank account. And sure enough, they did. What happened here was a couple different things. Number one, this client did have a cyber insurance policy, which is great. Unfortunately, though, their cyber insurance policy did not cover wire transfer fraud loss, which was this type of attack. So there was no money from the cyber insurance carrier that they were able to recoup from. Normally, if you contact your bank, the bank might be able to reverse the funds if you act fast in a few hours. This particular client didn't even realize that they were scammed for a period of 2 weeks, because 2 weeks went by and that existing vendor reached out to them and said, hey, how come you haven't sent this month's payment yet? And that's when they went down the rabbit hole and found out that, they sent it to this new bank account that they thought was a legitimate request instead of the old bank account. So again, cyber insurance did not pay out. The bank was unable to reverse the funds. Luckily, though, because this client had Corks Cyber Warranty, we were able to fully reimburse the $21,000 wire transfer fraud in a couple of days. So those are just a couple quick examples of where our cyber warranty has paid out. Again, in the last 3 years, we haven't had to deny a single claim, and we hope to continue that trend. And, not only are we offering the financial protection with the warranty, but we're offering that monitoring platform that ties into all the security tools. Sophos, Kaseya, ThreatLocker, whatever you're utilizing to act as that check engine light, just to make sure and double check everyone's work to make sure everything is installed where it should be installed. And that is Cork's warranty in a nutshell. So, Greg, I'll sort of pass it over to you and, get a better understanding of, why did you guys decide to include this across all clients instead of, selling it like some other MSPs are doing?
Thank you, Dick. Appreciate everybody joining us this afternoon. To kind of reiterate, Fred mentioned earlier, we're interested in this because of the monitoring aspect. And I'll show you a couple of examples here of specific things we're happy to have in Cork that we didn't have before. To reiterate on Nick's point, what we wind up doing with a lot of you is we go through your security audits and questionnaires and we say, okay, we have everything in place. So what we don't want to have happen is, okay, now we actually have a claim and something that caused that claim was not where it needed to be. So that's why this is important to us. And I can get my share to work.
Yep.
So you're looking at a screen clip from an actual Cork console, and this I was able to capture 3 good examples in one little screen here. Example 1 there is a user not enrolled in Duo. We probably monitored that user's computer. Duo was probably installed, but for some reason they weren't properly set up in Duo. Well, Cork sees that because they're monitoring not only email, but also monitoring telemetry from the Duo product. So we get alerted on that. We can make sure that user gets reset up before it becomes a problem. The second 2 are also one little hole in visibility is our RMM tool does a really nice job of telling us when things aren't running on a machine. What it doesn't do is tell us when it's not there, because it can't. So Cork is able to see in these 2 examples, one machine was in Sophos, one machine was in ThreatLocker, and Cork's letting us know, hey, I see these machines out in your estate, but they're not running the RMM agent. So again, we get notification, we can remediate that agent. So it's that kind of visibility from multiple points of view because of the way Cork integrates with each of our individual products. We also have relatively new from Cork. We have some compliance reporting, which we'll be scheduling for everybody that's enrolled to come on a monthly basis. This little summary snapshot shows you this is sample data for a lot of clients, but your monthly report will show you the event history you've had for the last 30 days. And it'll show you time to resolve on all those. And this will be a useful thing for those of you that have compliance needs. You'll be able to have this every month in your compliance folder. And then one other quick thing, Cork is adding, you can see this is new, it's still in beta, but they're also beginning to analyze the data they receive from our tools to flag a vulnerability list. So we can see this by client, see a particular application, and I can ultimately drill down and see what machine has a problem here. In this case, this happens to be a Foxit PDF editor that's one version behind that has known vulnerabilities. So when we see these alerts, we can find those machines and get them patched. So just a quick, some examples of what we'll be able to see now that we have the monitoring console. And you obviously have the warranty as Nick outlined. Nick, do we have Q&A enabled if anybody has a question?
Yep. So there is a chat function there here in Zoom. So if anybody wants to insert a question in the chat panel, we will be able to see that. So feel free to ask any questions there in the chat, and we'll leave that open there for the next minute or so. So again, if any questions pop up, feel free to ask a question in the chat. We don't need to know what Fred's favorite pizza topping is because we already asked that earlier today. So, we'll keep it open here for another few moments, see if anybody has any questions. We will be, this presentation was recorded, so Greg and the team will have a copy of this recording as well. All righty, we're not seeing any questions come in. So, Fred, was there any other, final thoughts or comments that you would like to wrap us up with?
Yeah, if you're interested in getting the advanced coverage, where you'll have $100,000 or $500,000 worth of Cork warranty, please contact me. I'll be glad to go over that with you and how all that works and what your cost will be. But it's Nick was on target on the kind of costs that you're looking at. We can look at your specific situation, how many computers, servers, etc. that you have, and be able to give you a quote on that. So I'm glad to do that.
All righty, good deal. Well, thank you so much for having me on today's webinar and for rolling out Corks warranty and monitoring to all your clients. And as always, thank you for being a great partner of ours.
Thanks, Nick.
All right, thanks for joining.